Okay, so this is Astrologaster. Um, and the basic premise of the game is that it is 1590, and you are a crazy man who does not have a medical license, but because he can read star charts and knows astrology, he prescribes medicine illegally to people to try and fix their problems. And so the game actually rewards you for knowing history and knowing things about history and knowing what will happen to certain people because it involves real people and real events. So it involves things like the Spanish Armada. It involves things like Guy Fawkes. It involves things like Shakespeare. It involves a lot of like hearsay stories. So one of the things it involves is like the idea that, what if Shakespeare didn't actually write all of his stuff alone? Or there's another one where it's like there's a guy who constantly keeps getting into trouble because he keeps trying to finance expeditions. There's a reference to the famous story about the time Elizabeth had potatoes prepared, and because they ate the green parts of the potatoes, everybody started like vomiting uncontrollably because the green part of the potato is the poisonous part. So there's all kinds of like hilarious stories about shit that goes on, and it's your job, basically, as a star chart reader, to make the right decision. Also, everything is sung.
Long ago in England in 1592, there begins our tale, and all of it is true. Through all of London, bubonic plague spread, covering folk in weeping sores and leaving thousands dead.
Also, it's a picture book. I forgot to mention that. This is a picture book. Also, all of it is true as an asterisk. I didn't realize the first time I played this. Drag left, turn the page.
From towns and cities, doctors they did flee, leaving their patients to die in misery.
But one brave doctor stayed when all the cowards fled, might have been because he was too sick to leave his bed.
Alas, 'tis my final hour. I will surely die. I am too far gone to recover, and for the plague there is no cure. Unless a cure might be found in the stars.
How might I be cured of the plague? I have the plague, characterized by loss of appetite, immoderate thirst, and pus-filled swellings behind the ears, in the armpits, and in the groin. These are symptoms of a fever provoked by excess sanguinity in the liver. Jupiter domicile in Sagittarius indicates a severe imbalance of the blood humor. Obviously, Jupiter and Sagittarius rule the liver. Who chose Sagittarius? Now, I'm going to point something out. This game does not explain to you that you're not actually supposed to use the stars to figure things out. You use the stars to justify whatever you've come up with as your answer.
Let me see now. According to the stars, the way to cure the plague is to treat the fever it provokes. Oh, can it be true? Might a disease so monstrous as the plague be cured by treating it as if it were an exceeding bad fever? Then I must use powerful herbs to bring the fever to crisis and break it. Let me see now. Angelica and dandelion for heat, borage to provoke sweating, infuse them in wine, strain and distill the mixture to produce a most powerful strong water. Huzzah! I am cured! I shall now go forth with my miraculous strong water to cure all London of the plague.
How am I to be cured of the plague? I judge my plague symptoms as being provoked by a fever. I invented a new kind of strong water to cure it. Querence case history. So basically what you need to do is you need to get letters of recommendation. And you do that by curing their things, not always by being accurate.
Foreman made a plague cure and used it on himself, then left his house to restore London's true health.
Huzzah! 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 Huzzah!
Simon Foreman, he cured us of the plague. 'Tis true, some details are a little vague,
But we know he used astrology and knows his own strong water. So what if he be not a proper licensed doctor?
Here comes a lady queer and a little warily. Her name is Avis Allen. What can her trouble be?
So basically, we're a crazy person, and oops, we just happened to find the cure for the plague, and so begins our descent into trying to cure people's illnesses with astrology.
God give you good day, madam. How may I?
You, Mr. Foreman? Mr. Simon Foreman, the doctor?
Aye, madam, I am indeed Dr. Simon Foreman. I bid you welcome to my consulting chambers. Mistress,
Allen, Mistress Avis Allen of Lambeth.
pray tell me your age, if you please, madam.
I am 33 years of age.
And how might I do you service this day, Mr. Allen? Pray describe your troubles to me.
Well, the pain started full late last eve upon retiring to bed. Oh, not that I am in the habit of retiring so late, but my husband did desire a special supper of cold meats to celebrate and give thanks in any case, it started in the night and it continued until dawning. That being the pain in my head and the chundering.
A moment whilst I make note of this. Headache and involuntary purging. Is that all?
Aye, that is all. And thinking on it, my complaint to seem most trifling, and you are doubtless busy with important cases. Oh, like the plague! Yea, verily, mayhap I should not have come after all. Good day, Dr. Foreman. I beseech you pardon me, for I have wasted your time.
Prithee, do not go, for I assure you, madam, your case verily is important to me. And 'tis important to you, is it not, Mistress Allen? Else you would not have come this day.
Well, aye.
Let us consult the stars now then, shall we? What is the cause of Mistress Allen's suffering?
Okay, so, as you might have noticed, we announced ourselves as being a doctor. We are not a doctor. And furthermore, the game does not explain something to you, which I didn't realize until later. So, when I first played through this game, I was like, oh, you're supposed to use this and figure out, like, what the answer is. But a lot of times, you will, like, a lot of times you will, like, look at these, and you think to yourself, like, oh, what's more accurate? And it won't tell you. Because you're a fraud. Like, we are a fraud. We are not, like, actual doctors. We don't know what we're doing. So, you might think to yourself, oh, I'm supposed to actually, like, think about stuff and figure stuff out based on, like, what's most likely. But you're oftentimes be wrong trying to do it that way. So you end up, like, having to, like, some of it's guesswork and some of it's other things. You have to, like, read what they say and pick up on, like, like, you have to read what they say and pick up on, like, various little things. So, like, she's got a headache, she's throwing up, she's done something with her husband, it involved cold meats. So, she's probably with kid.
You are with child, Mistress Allen. 'Twas the reason for your celebration last even, methinks?
Aye, but how did you know?
I can see it in my chart, madam. There is a planet aligned with Scorpio at present, Scorpio being the constellation that rules over such matters. Pray tell, how long has it been since your monthly courses?
It has been 14 weeks since my courses, and yesterday I did feel the child quicken. So, indeed, 'twas the cause for our celebration, as you say. For I have been with child before, you see, but 'tis never. And Mr. Allen and I do pray this one will be born alive.
There, dear lady. The presence of the planet Mercury in my chart does suggest you suffer from anxious passions on account of your condition, and given your ill-favoured history, I warrant 'twas the twin burdens of hope and fear that provoked your troubles last even.
Oh, I see.
Pray take this flask of wine, madam. It has been infused with cloves, ginger root, and cinnamon. Drink of it each morning, and you should soon feel much improved.
Verily, I will do as you advise. I thank ye heartily, sir. Fare you well, Dr. Foreman.
Fare you well, Mistress Allen.
Alright, during depressive symptoms, headache, and volatile upward purging, I judge Quinn as being with child. Quinn is most pleased for me in the reading I gave today. So, there is one storyline that goes through, but I think you can influence based how it happens, depending on what your answers are. But again, we're not a doctor. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. And in fact, most of the time, it's kind of guesswork. This is Thomas Blogg. He's an idiot, as we'll come to know.
Good day, sir. You are Simon Foreman, the physician, are you not? These are your rooms.
Indeed, I am he, and well met, sir. Be it Thomas Blogg I have the honour of welcoming to my humble consulting chambers, the Dean of Rochester Cathedral?
Indeed. 'Tis I, Thomas Blogg. Though it is not upon church business that I come to you this day. 'Tis upon a matter of my own that I require counsel. I have lately been offered some very lucrative investment opportunities. And, well, it is said that God speaks to us through the stars, does he not?
Indeed he does. 'Tis well known that astrology is but a conduit for the word of God, as interpreted using scientifical means. And now, these investments of which you speak, pray tell of them, if you please.
2 merchant ships will shortly set sail on very lucrative trading expeditions. I do not possess the coin to invest in both. Hence, I must choose between them. And I must choose very wisely indeed. For sea voyages are most perilous, and if my ship were to founder or be captured by pirates, I would lose my entire investment.
Aye, forsooth, 'twould be most lamentable, to say nothing of the poor souls who might lose their lives.
Who are, naturally, the greater of my concerns.
Aye, naturally. And whither might these ships be bound?
The first is bound for the Spice Islands of the East. 'Tis a voyage to be undertaken by a ship named the Conquering Cherub. The other is the Pride of Yarmouth. She is to bring back sugar from the Americas. Have you now the information you require? Then perchance you may divine for me upon which of these 2 ships our Lord God has bestowed his divine blessing.
Aye, Dean Blogg, we may now consult the stars. Should Thomas Blogg invest in the voyage of the Conquering Cherub, or that of the Pride of Yarmouth?
So yeah, I love how everything's sung too, but also, I love the fact that like our main character is just kind of like, yeah, we can talk to God through scientifical means. Scientifical's not a word. We can talk to God through the stars. Clearly, this makes sense to us. Alright, and this is another way. So, like, before we saw, like, we would select an option of a sign, and it would tell us things associated with that sign. When we do it this way, it'll open up other constellations, and it will tell us things. So, for example, if we choose A, by which we mean we'd be choosing the conquering cherub, we would say, oh, our justification is this. The Mars domicile in Scorpio because it's a sign of victory in the House of Children. Or you choose B, the Pride of Yarmouth, and that will give us, his investments in Trading Voyage will result in a change of fortune for him. And name of evoke a woman who partakes in marriage. So right away, this should be a red flag of what we're not supposed to do, because the ship's name should evoke a woman who partakes in marriage. Neither of these do that. And if you actually, the first time through, I selected this one, and he's like, it's the Bride of Yarmouth, and the guy's like, I didn't say bride, I said pride, and we're like, oh, you're a fraud, and then turns out like there is one part of this that's correct, and it's this. So the change in fortune part, that's the correct part, because this guy is like an idiot. But this one is the one that he wants. So we're basically here to tell them what they want to hear, rather than like actually like figure out the truth.
The stars advise you to invest in the ship named the Conquering Cherub.
I see. And why is that?
Well, I have calculated that at this very hour, upon this very day, the planet Mars and the constellation Scorpio do both dwell in that part of the sky we call the House of Children. And, as it happens, Mars is the ruler of Scorpio, hence we may say that Mars is presently exalted.
Mars has been exalted by Scorpio, you say? And what might that mean?
When exalted, Mars represents victory. And so, with victory in the House of Children, we may read this as a victorious child. Ergo, the Conquering Cherub.
Ah, I see. For a cherub is a kind of child, is it not? In sooth, I do find the science of astrology verily fascinating. I thank you, Dr. Foreman. You have been most helpful.
Yes, the science of astrology. So, at the end it will tell you, like, whether or not the querent was happy or not. And there will be many... One of the things that this game does is sometimes you will give the querent a reading, and the reading will be... will make them angry, and they'll be mad at you. And then they'll come back the next time, and when they come back the next time, they'll be like, you were right, and they'll be happy with you. So the game actually has this really interesting mechanic where it kind of prizes you, where it kind of like, how do I put this? Well, it kind of dangles this thing back and forth, where it dangles like success right now versus success in the future. And because you don't know, unless you know history or know something about like what's going to happen, you don't always know what's the result's going to be.
Good morrow, sir. Pray tell, are these the consulting chambers of Simon Foreman, Doctor of Astrology and Physic?
Indeed, 'tis I, Dr. Simon Foreman. And your name, madam?
Emma Sharp of Shoreditch, sir. 25 years of age.
Welcome, Miss Sharp. And how may I do you service this day?
Well, 'tis a trifle delicate. A man has asked me to be his wife. A dear, kind man, but I fear you will think me cold, Dr. Foreman.
There, madam, whatever is the matter?
Well, he is exceeding advanced in years. I do worry he may not be long for the world, and if he were to die, I do not think I could bear it. Verily, I would not. Indeed, methinks I would rather not marry him at all. Am I very heartless, Dr. Foreman?
Nay, not in the least, madam. Your fears are most reasonable. A man in the winter of his life is indeed more likely to die. I assure you, madam, 'tis a medical fact. But methinks you wish to know whether this man be afflicted with a grave health condition, do you not? To wit, any ailment that might soon prove fatal?
Forsooth I do. That is my question precisely. Why, Dr. Foreman, 'tis as if you have a gift for reading minds.
Merely the gift of logical surmise, madam. Let us see whether a judgment of the stars may calm your fears. Does Mr. What was your gentleman's name?
Mr. George Middleton, a wool merchant.
Does Mr. Middleton have any ailments that might hasten his death?
Now, in the modern age, we might, just ask him to go to a frickin' doctor, but because we are a doctor who is not a doctor, we're going to look at the stars. Okay, so, slight spoiler alert. This woman is a Black Widow, basically. I think she goes through like 5 husbands through the course of this game. So we have Uranus in retrograde. He's been bewitched. It may prove fatal. Suffers from dropping down the piss by involuntary urination, combined with his fear of heights. It's a funny story. I think when you select this one, they think he's completely wrong, and then he suddenly dies of a heart attack and falls off a church steeple. Anyway, cardiac passion, condition that may end in death. So, cannot be cured. So, this is actually the right one, I think. Because he does actually die of a heart attack, if I remember correctly.
I am full sorry, madam, but the stars give heavy news. Mr. Middleton suffers from a cardiac passion. Indeed, his heart may stop at any moment. He must avoid anything that might alarm or trouble his vital spirits. One shock could be enough to kill him.
Oh, woe, alas, poor Mr. Middleton. I thank you for your kind understanding, Dr. Foreman, and for your discretion in this matter. I will at once to my family go and beseech them not to make me accept Mr. Middleton's proposal. God give you good day, Dr. Foreman.
This is of a cardiac passion, could die at any moment. Yeah, so she's gonna be happy with that. Public notice. Beware, is the man treating you a qualified, licensed doctor? London has lately been importuned by low-born charlatans claiming the title of doctor. These men have never attended university and therefore cannot be trusted. Any man found to be practicing medicine without a medical license shall be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Murdering would those doctors come. Murdering those doctors come. Murdering one fine day. Those doctors will they slave for. Those doctors will they slave for. Slave for. Will they send him to jail? They send him to jail.
What is the meaning of this warning being put about by the College of Physicians? Do they mean to do me harm? It is true that I do not have a medical license. What am I to do? Mayhap the stars will advise me.
Yes, whoever could have thought that practicing medicine without a medical license would piss off the authorities. College of Physicians has dark intentions toward me. What should I do? Authority of licensed doctors and holidays primarily owing to their wealth and privileges, much that they do not know about physic. Church of England can help me. Archbishop of Canterbury's special power to grant medical licenses. College of Physicians is making war against me. If I become the best doctor in London, I must find a way to end it. That's option A. I must use my brilliant mind to forge strong relationships with my querents. Decision involved being sensitive to the needs of my querents. Now, last time I chose A. I'm going to choose B this time, because I think they're basically the same.
It seems that if I'm to avoid prosecution by the College of Physicians, I must obtain a medical license. Towards this end, doubtless the best course is to serve my querents well, treating their illnesses and problems with intelligence and sensitivity. Or if I do, they may favor me with letters of recommendation, and I can use these to petition the University of Cambridge to grant me a license.
Who knew that the cure to getting a license as a medical doctor and avoiding going to jail might be serving your patients well as a doctor? Who would have thunk it?
Who's this man at the door who we've not seen before? Who's this man at the door who we've not seen before? Who is come to inquire the residence so strange and he's Signor Ferraro.
More like Senior Fraud.
Good day to you, sir. Oh, I see you're having some difficulties. William, fetch my guest a chair.
No, it's good. I am just a little stiff.
As you wish. Mr.
Signor Riccardo Ferraro. I am a gentleman of Venezia, come to make a trade in London.
Venice? 'Tis a fine city, I hear. And how may I do you service this day, Signor Ferraro?
I am come with una problema medicale, and you are most great dottore who does cure all London, huh? You cure Ferraro too, see?
Forsooth, I will seek to do so, Signor. Pray, describe your complaints, if you please.
Is burning when I make the water.
Pain during urination?
See, and is pain down here. Molto pain.
And pain in the lower back. Now, let us see what the stars can tell us. What ails Signor Riccardo Ferraro?
Okay, so the game is actually really clever here, because when I first played this, I wasn't looking at him, I was reading the text. This guy is the first guy to show up after it tells you, hey, the first day it shows up, it's like, hey, you should be, careful because, there are doctors without medical licenses doing medicine. And then the next day, this guy shows up, and the first thing that happens, I was reading the text, his mustache falls off. It's falling off, and he puts it back on his face. So he's obviously a fraud. Now, the thing about it is, when I was playing this the first time, I thought the joke, I thought what was going on was that he would actually be a she. I figured, the fake mustache and, the clothes. I was like, oh, probably, secretly a woman, but doesn't want anyone to know. That's not the case. So you could sign him up with the gout, stones in the kidney. Okay, so this I did not catch last time. So one of the things about this is that there's the wrong answer, there's the right answer based around what he's telling you, and then there's the right answer in terms of foreshadowing. So no one else in the game, as far as I know, gives you this suggestion that he's lying, because he's lying to you. He's not actually sick, he's just acting like he's sick and saying he's sick because he's an imposter that's trying to get you as a fake doctor. So, if you, do wrong, he's gotcha! And he, sends you to jail, basically. So, what he's told us is that he has, kidney stones, because, he's got pain in his lower back where his kidneys are, he's having a problem passing urine, he's got kidney stones. But the stars are like, yo, he's lying to you. So I actually didn't check this one last time, so I want to see what it does this time.
You suffer from dysentery, Signor. For although, as I did remark, Venice is said to be a fine city, 'tis perhaps not a very healthsome one. I have heard your canals likened to open privies that give rise to humours most foul. And are not the roofs in Venice built of lead?
See?
Lead is a most dangerous substance. Indeed, water collected from lead roofs is a well-documented cause of dysentery. I prescribe bed rest and vigorous fumigation of the body from below. If you will return to my chambers later this day, my manservant William will attend to you.
And, you are quite sure of this diagnosis? The dysentery, you say, huh? Then you blow the smoke up on my...
Up your fundament, yes. As I say, my manservant will perform the procedure, after inflating a pair of bellows with the fumes of hot coal tar. Be not afeard, sir. 'Tis a near painless procedure.
Mayhap we do another day, huh? When I am not so busy with my, trading. Arrivederci, Signor Foreman. Riccardo Ferraro bids you good day.
Yeah, just blow smoke up his ass. Yeah, they were a bit, that's like 3 levels of innuendo. Yeah, his mustache is like falling off. Took the advice rather ill. Now, for some reason, he can give you a letter of recommendation. That does not match my symptoms. So I think what you're supposed to do.
Sure she is no beauty, 'tis true she lacks finesse, but every awkward hero needs his awkward princess.
Well met, Mistress Allen. Pray tell, the last time I saw you, you were with child, methinks. Pray tell, how
I
fares...
would rather not talk about that, if you please.
Oh, I see. I am full sorry, madam. What
I'm
brings
come
you
upon...
this?
Oh, don't worry. We go full gay later.
The matter
Beg
that
your
brings...
pardon, madam. I prithee, madam, say on.
I'm come about the new law. I know not what to do, and I would have counsel.
You are in trouble with the law, madam?
Nay, at least not yet, but my neighbours have begun to remark unkindly upon my absences, my Sunday absences from church. I am afeard one of them may soon denounce me.
'Tis the Act Against Recusants you speak of. The law that obliges Catholics to attend church and take the English sacrament. You are of the Catholic faith, then, I take it?
I, a Catholic, but as well a law-abiding woman and a full loyal subject of the Queen. Long may she reign.
I do not doubt it, madam.
But to take the Protestant sacrament, 'tis heresy. So says the Pope in Rome. I risk being damned to hell if I do it, Dr. Foreman. Verily, I find myself in a most terrible bind.
I see. Damned if you do, yet condemned if you do not. A cruel bind indeed. Let us see if the stars may untangle it for us. Should Mistress Avis Allen attend Protestant church services?
I love the fact that they basically went, like, they wrote jokes first, I think. Jealousy and confusion. Female neighbors. Okay, so last time I chose B because I figured the one with the most had to be the right one. And it is in one way selection correct, but in truth this is actually the right one. Because you find out later she's got one of her like angry neighbors who basically thinks she's a Catholic heretic.
Dear lady, if your neighbors consider speaking against you, 'twould be on account of envy.
Envy? But Mr. Allen and I have not been blessed with... I have not had the same fortune as other women. And to be sure, we are not wealthy.
Yes, of course. Hence you must disabuse your neighbors of their ill-founded notions. Indeed, you must have them believe that you are, in truth, most poor.
Then I am to have my neighbours pity me.
Precisely so, madam. For if they were to pity you, they would never think of reporting you to the authorities. Nay, they would say, "See how low poor Mistress Allen has come. She has no gown fine enough for church, so she finds an excuse not to come by pretending she is a Catholic."
Oh, I see. Then I must wear coarser clothes as well. In truth, 'twill not be agreeable to be talked of so. But nay, 'tis naught but my vanity, and if a woman must sacrifice her comeliness for the sake of her soul, so be it. 'Tis but a small price to pay.
Oh, but be assured, madam, you would still be most... methinks you would appear no less comely in poorer attire.
Oh, Dr. Foreman, you make me blush.
Forgive me, dear lady. 'Tis not my intention to occasion you any. Madam, would you care to see my collection of Venetian glassware?
I think I would. Indeed, I would like that very well.
Coitus points constellatio. Of course. I love that they add that every time you fuck somebody. Coitus post constellatio. I think that's a consultio? I don't know how to pronounce that last one. Well, I knew of a Jesuit priest, I might confess my sins to. Yeah, maybe not fucking somebody other than your husband.
Here comes a beauty dark as night. Her hair does shine, her eyes are bright. A damsel formed for man's delight. Oh, she is quite a lady. Oh, she is quite a lady.
Damn it, Cora, stop being so sexist.
Good day to you, sir. I am Amelia Bassano of Bishopsgate, here for my consultation.
Welcome, Mistress Bassano. Bassano? 'Tis an Italian name, is it not?
Aye, it is, sir. Though I was born in London, my family are from Venice. They did come to London to gain employment as musicians at the royal court.
Ah, I know one of your countrymen, Riccardo Ferraro, another one of my querents. Mayhap you know him? He hails from Venice, too.
No, sir, I do not know him. Venice is a large city, and as such 'tis home to many thousands of men. And as I did mention, I was born in London.
Aye, of course. Mayhap we turn our thoughts to what brings you hither this day. Have you a question for me?
Aye, sir, I wish to know what afflicts me, for my belly does begin to swell, and lately I oft find myself chundering after meals.
Swollen abdomen and involuntary upward purging. Well, now, let us consult the stars to judge the cause of these troubles. What is ailing Mistress Amelia Bassano?
This one's a bit of a softball, obviously. Liverworm. No. Queering is with child. That's actually, accurate. Excessive weight gain. No. Queering's with child.
I neglected to ask. Is there a, Mr. Bassano?
Aye, my father still lives.
I mean to say, are you yet married, Mistress Bassano? I presume you are, for the stars indicate that you are with child. Wondrous news indeed.
Ah, I see.
Of course, it is natural for a young lady to be a trifle anxious when she's expecting her first child. And I see you are anxious, are you not?
Aye, Mr. Foreman, I own that I am.
Well, doubtless you are anxious owing to the unpredictable nature of your condition. For instance, sometimes the child might emerge from its mother's womb early, weeks or even months earlier than anticipated. This possibility is a medical fact, and one that should be explained
Sorry
to
for
any
that.
husband.
I was like, I was...
Do you see what I'm saying, Mistress Bassano?
Nay, not in the least, sir.
Some of my maiden querents, I assume you are still unmarried and therefore a maiden, when they find themselves inexplicably with child, they oft do not remain unmarried for long. I advise you to discuss this with your family without delay, Mistress Bassano. Doubtless they will be keen to make the arrangements for you.
I see. Yes, of course. I must lose no time in finding a husband. I thank ye, Dr. Foreman. Good day.
Alright, that's easy enough.
Mary Kate is frightened when she spies a looking glass, for 'tis a portal out through whence the gates of hell do blast. A deadly and foul wind that comes direct from Satan's mouth.
Blessed morrow to you, Dr. Foreman. I am Mary Payne of 4th Street in Lambeth. I'm come to seek your counsel about my neighbours.
Good morrow, Mistress Payne, and well met. What trouble do your neighbours give you? They play their lutes into the night, perchance? Mayhap a neighbour has cast a malignant spell upon your cabbages.
Why, sir, 'tis no trifling matter. Indeed, 'tis a matter of grave importance. Doubtless you do know we have a Catholic living on 4th Street. A woman by the name of Avis Allen.
Ah, yes. I did hear tell that Mistress Allen subscribes to the Romish faith. But 'tis no crime to be a Catholic, is it, madam? At least, not at present.
Aye, but harbouring a Jesuit priest is, Dr. Foreman. These evenings past, I have spied a man sneaking in and out of the Allens' house. 'Tis my reckoning the man is a priest who is going hither and thither all over Lambeth to perform the Catholic Mass and take confessions. Doubtless Mr. Allen is hiding him in one of those little cupboards.
You mean to say you think Mr. Allen has installed a priest hole in his house? A secret room hidden behind the wood panelling of a wall?
Indeed I do. I am certain that he has such a hole, and that a priest is going in and out of Mr. Allen's hole from dusk till dawn.
Verily? How troubling. But surely you are mistaken, madam, for under the cover of darkness, how can you be sure the man you did spy was not Mr. Allen himself?
Nay, 'twas not Mr. Allen. Mr. Allen is a fine, tall figure of a man, whereas the figure I did spy was very narrow and malformed in appearance. A scrawny little imp of a man he was.
I see.
Now, you must not think me intolerant, Dr. Foreman. If Mistress Allen must cling to her idolatrous backward beliefs, 'tis her own affair, and I have no wish to cause trouble for the Allens. And even though Mistress Allen has lately not been seen in church, thus far I have held my tongue about it. But we residents of 4th Street are decent English folk. We will not abide an agent of Rome sneaking around our neighbourhood, muttering incantations in some devilish foreign tongue.
I think you mean Latin, madam.
But before I act upon my suspicions, I think it wise to know if there be any truth in them.
Then let us see what the stars can tell us. Who is this mysterious stranger, and why does he frequent the Allen's house late at night?
Okay, so there's a lot of references I didn't get the first time I played this. So later on you find out that there is a man, in fact, wandering around at night. And I thought at first, I thought it was this. But it should have, identified to me that when he gets mad like that, it was talking about him. So, I'm pretty sure it's this one is the correct one. This man will die suddenly. But I'm gonna say this time that it turns out he's a Jesuit priest, because
Mr. Allen does indeed have a hole for a Jesuit priest. Yeah, that is to say, your suspicions are well founded, madam.
Oh, my days, then 'tis as I was afeared. I thank ye, sir. Truly we have done the Lord's work this day. I shall alert the pursuivants of these heretical doings. Blessed day, Dr. Foreman.
But by the saints, madam, surely you would not inform the priest hunters. I beseech you, do not act in haste. Dearest Avis, pray forgive me.
oops. Yeah, a little pleased. Little pleased. I love how everybody in this game talks about the foreman's manservant.
When the querent does rock a continental frock, when the Ferraro does rock a continental frock, when his Italian flair features on facial hair, 'tis Ferraro.
God give you good day, signor. And how may I assist you?
'Tis I, Riccardo Ferraro, come once again to see the great Dottore Simon Foreman.
So I see. What brings you this day?
I bring myself to you, so you treat my illness. 'Tis very grave.
And, what might this illness be? Perchance we might start with your complaints.
First problem is the laughter that cannot be controlled.
Uncontrollable laughter, you say? I see. Anything else?
Next problem, the dancing that cannot be controlled.
Uncontrollable dancing. And yet, you do not appear to be dancing at present.
What can I say? 'Tis uncontrollable dancing. I cannot control when I dance.
Nay, 'tis a fair point.
Doubtless my disease, whatever it may be, is very rare and very difficult to diagnose. But of course, if it be beyond your medical understanding...
Let me assure you, Signor, that whatever is said of us on the continent, the learning of we English doctors is unparalleled. There is no better medical care to be had than in London. Now, let us see whether the stars may tell us something of your unusual and troubling illness.
So it's obviously he's lying. Now, this time they don't give you one that says that he's lying. In truth, this is what I chose last time. Because he said he's like, I'm laughing and dancing uncontrollably. Because he got bitten by a tarantula. But we also know that he has belching and bloating of the stomach. So I'm going to choose this one this time and just piss off this guy because he's a fraud.
It sounds to me like you're experiencing pain in your stomach.
But how did you know this?
Indeed, methinks you are stricken with a bout of colic. Most doctors do advise upward purging, but I have found the dog cure more efficacious in cases of colic.
The dog cure?
Aye. First you must find a dog lying idle on the ground. On any street in London you will find such a creature. Then you must kick the dog away, lower your breeches, and then make water upon the spot where the dog did lie.
If you say so, Signor Foreman.
If we were not on English soil, of course, I would have said you were bitten by a tarantula. But there be no such spiders in England. Our weather is much too cold for them. Indeed, only an overqualified quack who draws his medical knowledge from books alone would think such a diagnosis appropriate in this case.
Indeed, most ludicrous.
And in truth, the laughing and dancing you are troubled with may doubtless be attributed to your hot-blooded Latin temperament.
Doubtless you speak true, eh? 'Tis but a symptom of my hot Venetian blood. Riccardo Ferraro bids you good day.
Yeah, it was a little pleased. So somehow he's actually happy with that. By what manner of dark magic did he learn to my... Okay, so I didn't realize that the first time through that was actually the correct answer. I think that means that in turns that like each time he actually has a real problem that he's lying to you about. Also, I didn't notice he has a little soul patch drawn on his face. I didn't realize that, but it looks like they drew that on with like a marker, even though obviously they didn't have markers at the time.
Why does this lady feel confined? Mayhap the world is too unkind. Nay, doctor, medicate her mind. Pray cure this comely lady. Pray cure this comely lady.
Damn sexist chorus.
Good day to you, madam.
Yes, good day, Mr. Foreman. Pray tell, is your Venetian querent Riccardo Ferraro one of the patients you treat for troubles of the mind? Forsooth, his manner is right strange. I passed him at the door, and when I addressed him in the Italian tongue, he abruptly turned from me and ran away down the street.
Nay, Signor Ferraro has no grave troubles of the mind that I'm aware of. Mayhap he was merely dumbstruck by your beauty, madam.
Dr. Foreman, a man is rarely struck dumb by a woman's beauty. Indeed, 'tis quite the reverse. He is oft rendered all the more loquacious, plaguing her with ill-formed metaphors he believes are compliments, and with hasty declarations and invitations she has neither sought nor invited.
Ah, quite. But let us turn our minds to happier thoughts. I did lately hear of your marriage to your cousin, Mr. Alfonso Lanier, for which I must congratulate you. And as I recall, you were with child when I last saw you.
Aye, I was, as you correctly judged.
And your child and husband are both well, I hope?
I would rather not discourse on the subject of my husband, Dr. Foreman.
As it pleases you, madam. What brings you this day?
Lately I have been feeling heavy and lethargic. I do also find it hard to fix my attention upon the book I am reading or upon words I am composing. And yet, although I oft feel right tired, I am having difficulty sleeping.
Ah, well, becoming a mother, beset with all the demands of a suckling babe, can force change upon the normal rhythms of life.
Nay, 'tis not that, for I have employed a wet nurse for the feeding and much of the care of my son. Methinks I must have some kind of disease.
I see. Let us consult the stars to see what afflicts you. What is ailing Mistress Amelia Lanier?
Okay. I forget which is the right answer this time. I think last time I picked this one. But I think it's actually this one.
Mistress Lanier, the stars indicate that your suffering is occasioned by melancholy, or, in other words, black bile.
I see. And what treatment can you give me for it?
Before we speak of treating your condition, madam, I think it wise we determine what has provoked it. You did express a desire not to speak of your husband, and I cannot help but think that such a reluctance reveals where the source of your troubles might lie, to wit, within your marriage. Would I be right in thinking this? I do not wish to cause you distress, madam, but as a doctor, I do feel I must press you in case it is relevant to your troubles.
My marriage is not a happy one, Dr. Foreman. Mr. Lanier and I do not agree on matters of money and strong drink.
I see. And what are your opinions on these subjects?
That he spends all our money on strong drink. He disagrees.
And your husband cannot be brought around to see your point of view, nor you his, I presume. Well, the marital discord provoked by strong differences of opinion can oft engender melancholy in a wife. Until the matter is resolved between you, you may take a syrup of roses and chicory. Drink of it each day, and it will serve to reinvigorate your vital spirits. I will also have my manservant William bleed you of some of that excess bile.
I thank ye, Dr. Foreman.
William, come hither and bleed Mistress Lanier.
Ah, yes, when bleeding was considered. Mail. Sir, I thank you for your recent inquiry with the range of obtaining a license to practice medicine. I know from our records that you terminated your enrollment at our institution some years ago on the grounds of insufficient funds. Whilst we do not ordinarily issue medical licenses to men who have not first completed a medical degree, proof of equivalent professional experience in the form of letters of recommendation may be taken into consideration. A minimum of 8 such letters of recommendation is customarily required. I advise you to write to us again once you have obtained the requisite number of letters.
What is very late? We are no longer sure. Seems Foreman's now a patient, and Avis is the cure.
Ah, my dear Avis, what a pleasure it is to see you. I have oft thought of our last...
I cannot tarry long. My husband will be expecting me home.
Of course. But, dear lady, is something the matter? Be it that bothersome neighbour troubling you again? The woman who brought the pursuivants to your house looking for a Jesuit priest she accused you of hiding? for I recall how very upsetting it was for you. Speaking thereof, I trust the carpenter I recommended, the one who came to fix the destruction of your wall panelling, was...
Yes, the damage to our walls is now fixed. But I come upon another
Oops.
matter. I wish to ask of the stars whether a man I am close with, a man who is not my husband, whether that man be also close with another woman.
A man you are. I see. Well, if I am to judge the stars for you, I must ask you to be more precise. In what sense do you mean close? The platonic bond of friendship?
Nay, close in the sense of being intimate.
I see. Then 'tis the familial tie of kinship, perchance.
Nay, I mean someone with whom I have shared physical relations.
Verily, madam, if I am to give you an accurate reading, you must state your question clearly.
Methinks you know full well what I ask. I bid you ask the stars whether my lover is, that is to say, be it true that he engages with another woman in acts of strumpy-humpy.
Madam, you astonish me. 'Tis unlike you to speak such indelicate words. Now, if I understand you correctly, you have a lover, and you wish to know whether he has been sharing his tender favours with another woman.
Aye, but did I not verily say so?
And now that we have at last fathomed your question, let us read the stars to fathom an answer. Has Mistress Allen's lover been unfaithful to her?
Okay, so she's talking about us, obviously. So last time I chose this one, I chose this one, mostly because I was like, oh yeah, I'll just continue the romance. Although I'm really curious what happens if you choose the other one. Despite the fact this is obviously not true.
'Tis as you suspect, madam. Your lover does indeed share intimacies with another woman, one with whom he hopes to father children who bear his name. To wit, he desires something that you, a married woman, are unable to give him.
Then I knew it!
Moreover, according to the stars, what does it say here? Yes, they say the quickening fever of your lover's desire has lately begun to cool. 'Twould seem he now finds relations betwixt you somewhat, well, a trifle dull.
Dull? But you, verily? 'Tis my sister Bridget. Aye, 'tis she, those cow's eyes she makes at you. She has lured you away. Fie upon her, that vile little strumpet!
What? You mean to say it is I you speak of?
Dull? You find our relations dull?
But Avis, pray heed me.
Then how is this for dull?
Okay, so I didn't realize that the same outcome happens. Like, the other outcome basically means you start fucking right there. So it was very obvious she was referring to us. I just didn't wasn't sure what the outcome would be if you chose the other one.
Always has what's new. Far ahead of friends. She oft gets her hands on goods from foreign lands. That Captain he sends.
Good morrow, madam. I humbly welcome you to my consulting chambers, and thank you for choosing my practice. Mistress...
Fortescue. Mistress Sybil Fortescue.
Well then, Mistress Fortescue, what may I assist you with this day?
I come upon a most troubling matter, sir. I know not whether it is a medical matter or something else.
I see. Pray describe your trouble to me, madam.
Well, I suppose it all began with a dinner I hosted at my house last even. Mayhap you have heard of my dinners, Dr. Foreman. They are much talked about. Though I fear last evening's dinner will be talked about for all the wrong reasons.
Talked about, you say?
Yes. Indeed, invitations to my dinners are much sought after. for I host the most desirable of guests. Lords, bishops, poets, explorers, painters and the like. Why, last eve I hosted the famous Robert Lord Devereux, the playwright William Shakespeare, and the Bishop of London and his wife. As well as fascinating conversation, at my table I served the very latest and most original dishes. Last even, I served an exotic green vegetable called a potato. So crisp and refreshing. My dear husband sent them home to me from the New World. Doubtless you have heard of my husband, Captain Fortescue. He is a great friend of Sir Walter Raleigh.
I see. Your dinners do sound most excellent, Mistress Fortescue. But what occurred at last eve's dinner that has you so distressed?
Well, in truth, 'twas after dinner. We all felt a strong desire to take some air, and so we left the table to take a turn in some pleasure gardens nearby. But then, as we were walking along the path, right in the middle of the gardens, in full public view...
Pray do not distress yourself, madam. Prithee, take your time.
My guests and I were, all of a sudden, stricken with pain. We began chundering and voiding from our... But there was nowhere to turn, you see. There were no bushes close by to shield our modesty. 'Twas unspeakable.
A moment, madam, as I note this down. Abdominal pain and simultaneous upward and downward purging of a most sudden and violent nature. Now, let us see how these stars explain this most distressing and unsavoury event. What troubled Mistress Sybil Fortescue and her guests last eve?
Okay, so this is actually based on a real story. I think I mentioned it at the beginning. But, yeah, so this is actually something that happened with Sir Walter Raleigh and Queen Elizabeth. Basically, they brought potatoes back and didn't realize that potatoes, like the lumpy brown stuff that we know as a potato, that's the edible part. The green part that comes off of it is highly poisonous, and if you eat that, will cause you to vomit and basically shit yourself. And Sir Walter Raleigh basically just handed a bunch of potatoes to the cooks and didn't tell them anything about it. And the cooks were like, well, we don't know what this lumpy thing is, but it doesn't look like food. But we know that green things tend to be good to eat, so we'll just cook that. So they served all these many different dishes with all the green parts of the potato, and the queen and most of her rich guests basically vomited all over the place and shat themselves. That's a real thing that happened. Yeah, evil digestion.
Madam, I think you said the New World vegetables you dined upon were green in colour, did you not? And you described them as crisp and refreshing, I think. I take it then that you served them to your guests green and raw?
Yes, indeed. Most of the potatoes my husband sent me were full dull and unhealthsome in appearance. Hence I served only the green ones. I had my cook cut them in such a way as to resemble roses. 'Tis the way I oft serve my apples.
Ah, then your trouble was a severe case of evil digestion. I have read that these vegetables can be noxious if they turn green.
Oh, my days! Do you mean I poisoned my guests?
In a manner of speaking,
Love the
aye.
monkey face
But
balls.
worry not, madam, for the suffering was but temporary. Indeed, it does sound as if the bodies of your guests were most comprehensively purged of the poison. However, in future, be sure to cook the potatoes until they are soft, and pray do not eat the ones that have turned green.
As God shall mend me, what a shameful affair this has been. I shall go home and, well, I shall write to my husband and ask that he includes cooking instructions with the next gift of food that he sends me. I thank ye and bid ye good day, Dr. Foreman.
Again, they talk about the freaking manservant. I'm not sure if we're supposed to be the manservant or if, like, the manservant, like, because we never see him. So everyone seems to remark about him.
Here comes a literary mind, one such as we do rarely find. Just needs a man to be behind, for she's but a lady.
Damn it, sexist chorus.
Good even, Miss Lanier. What brings you?
I am come about my future, Dr. Foreman. I wish to know whether I will find success as a writer of poems and plays. You can predict futures, can you not?
You, madam? A writer of poems and of plays? Forsooth, how verily remarkable.
Well, 'tis true most of us Bassanos and Laniers are musicians, but I have chosen a different path. I've lately begun a collaboration with a poet and playwright. Let us call him Mr. S. He is presently writing a play that takes place in northern Italy, and as I am of Italian heritage, he has asked me to help him write it.
How interesting. And does this collaboration betwixt you go well?
Right well, or so methinks. Indeed, Mr. S did suggest that I am full talented as a writer. Be not afraid of greatness, he told me. For once our play opens upon the London stage, our success will follow, as night follows day.
I see. Then what would you have me ask the stars, madam?
Well, I've noted that Mr. S, although a brilliant man, is oft prone to exaggerated melodrama and implausible plot resolutions. I wish to know whether this story of his, of our future success, is true.
Very wise of you, madam. Then let us see whether your success or failure is writ in the stars. Will Mistress Amelia Lanier find fame and fortune as a writer?
Okay, so obviously this is a reference to William Shakespeare, who some people think didn't actually write his stuff. More than that, it's a reference to The Merchant of Venice, which was the play he wrote. I believe it's the first one that he broke out with, if I remember correctly. So I think it's what they're talking about is The Merchant of Venice. So this is the one she wants to hear. I think it's the one I chose last time. But it's also the inaccurate one. This is the one that pisses her off because it tells her to go with her child. This is the one that long term is correct. That he's indulging in creative theft. So basically, the accurate one in this, according to this game, is that Shakespeare stole her work and claimed it as his own.
Madam, the stars tell of a great deceit against you. They suggest that your collaboration with Mr. S puts you at risk of, let me see here, creative domination and theft. The result being that you will reap little from your collaboration with Mr. S, but feelings of bitterness and jealousy.
This... I cannot believe this of Mr. S. He is a right honourable man. I cannot believe such compelling insights into the human condition could be writ by such a knave as you describe. To be sure, he does oft indulge in wordplay for its own sake, thus cheapening and unnecessarily prolonging a scene. But nay, he is not a bad man. I know you mean well, Dr. Foreman, but I believe your judgment of the stars must be wrong on this occasion.
This is one of those where, like, you tell them bad advice now, but then at the end, they're like, yeah, you were totally right.
Mistress Davis Allen, the love of Foreman's life, how futile 'tis to fall for another man's wife.
Good day to you, sir.
Good day to you, madam. What service may I perform for you this day?
For me? None. None at all.
Verily. Then I cannot fathom why you...
'Twas my husband who bade me come, for he finds it difficult to speak of... As I say, he had me come in his stead, and I could think of no reason to give him for why I should not come.
I see. Then what is troubling your husband? Madam, I cannot treat a querent without knowing first what his troubles are.
He is unable to perform his marital duties.
I see, and whatever does that mean? Your husband forgets to put out the night soil? Some broken shelving he's neglected to fix? Prithee, madam, I bid you be more precise.
Ugh, you know perfectly well what I mean, Simon. I bid you not drag this out any longer. Pray read the stars and let us get this over with.
As you wish, madam. Now, let us see. What ails Mr. Allen so as to render him unable to perform his marital obligations towards Mistress Allen?
Alright. Loss of carnal lust. Cold in the heart. I don't actually remember what the right one was here. I think what I said last time on the first playthrough was loss of carnal lust. I may have said cold in the heart. Let's do cold in the heart.
Mr. Allen is afflicted with a cold in the heart, caused by an imbalance of black bile. The treatment for this is quite simple. You have merely to add boiled snake to your husband's diet.
Oh, that is... 'Tis your full judgment on the matter, then?
Yes, he is to eat boiled snake flesh. Be sure to gut the snake first, however.
Then I will pass these instructions on to my cook. Well, I'd best be going now.
Nay, prithee, bide a moment. If you will. The snake flesh cure, 'tis often effective, in truth. 'Tis also my judgment, as a physician, that for you, that for a wife to be so neglected, 'tis most unhealthsome. And so...
And so... Oh, Simon...
Oh, Avis.
Insert careless whisper here. Coitus points consoleto. What was this? Gave us a letter of recommendation for that. Okay, I'm gonna cut the recording here because apparently it's been over an hour and I wasn't paying attention.